So let's round up by looking at what you do on defense. Actually playing defense in this game is mostly just blocking, right? It's easy to block. Mid-low mix-ups, you got to be aware of how to block. So obviously you want to get out of those if you can. All these things are ambiguous that are hard to block. You can't tell the difference. Try to avoid it if possible. Try to backdash. Try to sidestep. Get out of there. So the fact that Lili has such a great sidestep and can backdash pretty well, that's what she wants to do mostly when it comes to playing defense up close. You want to block things when you can and punish appropriately. She's got good block punishers. But if you can, bait them into attacking when you want to and then avoid it, with punishing is even better. So you really want to try to avoid as much as you can with this character. You want to stick and move, and you want to sidestep. You'd be surprised how much if you go for just the right situation, you get a good Lili sidestep on them, it opens them up big time. That's really what you want for the most part. A little bit further out at range, this can actually work better because you do have a better cleaner hitbox to sidestep. You don't get caught by as much random stuff when you're further away. So being able to move around and dance and dodge out here is even more powerful. This is really, really good stuff. And as we talked about, getting back in works on the same toolkit. So if you are out here and you're done playing defense, it's your turn to go back in. Getting back in with the same core moves. These two moves are so good. They just do everything for you. So let's take a look at core defense that goes beyond just not getting hit, right? That's the easiest thing in the game. You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So let's talk about what happens when you actually can't dodge most of the time. One thing you could do is counter hit fishing. If you know the opponent is attacking, coming at you, whatever it is, you fish for counter hits. You throw out things that, if they do happen to land, would result in a nice counter hit property for you. So chief among those is the new forward 4. This move works just wonders for that. You get the combo from it, safe on block, all of that. The only problem is if it doesn't track. If they're coming at you, right, they're doing this, and they sidestep to try to fake you out, you're going to get faked out. So be warned, your best keep out tool has no tracking. So if I know that you know that I know that you know, they can sidestep it, right? Forward 3 would cover that base, except it's way too short. You cannot defend yourself with forward 3. If you think the opponent's going to attack you and you want to try to throw something out there, this is not the answer. It's too slow, it's too short. Forward 4 is faster, it reaches much further, so don't worry about the tracking element of it. You could, however, do a down forward 3. If you could get it just right, so they want to stay a little bit, they're coming at you, but they don't want to get in close. They kind of want to just like fish for an opportunity. Throwing out down forward 3 is a little bit better. It's got better range. Same speed at about 19-20 frames. However, if this does land on their head, you get the nice pressure situation we talked about. You get the big frame trap. And if they did happen to get counter hit caught by it, right, you get your combo that way. So down forward 3, I think, is worth mentioning just because you might get the counter hit. And if you do happen to land this right on them in their approach, frame trap. So its rewards are definitely worth it. Even though it could also get sidestepped, it's worth a mention because you do get some cool stuff when this move does its job. Another thing to throw out to defend against counter hit would be this crouch dash 3. Technically, it's full crouch down forward 3, but you could do it as do glide. If you do glide 3 and just hold forward, this comes out. So you can actually do it kind of fast. You can do it instantly like that. Quarter circle 3 and hold the forward. You can get this. So that actually goes under some jabs pretty quick. This could, from far ranges, could actually catch people getting counter hit. It just takes the very tip. Just the very tip of this is all it takes to land your counter hit. Come on. There we go. So that did work. If you were way far out here and they're coming at you, you could surprise people with this every so often to get your counter hit that way. I think it's better than this, just all around. I think it's just a better move. This kind of sucks. The quarter circle one, I think, is better. Just not by a lot, but I think it's worth mentioning that you could occasionally trip people with this guy coming in. Another option to defend yourself with is actually back turn 2. If you're out here, you could kind of, show your back sometimes and fake them out. Pretend like you're going to do some flippy shit on them and not. So when you're out here just trying to gauge your space, see what it is, going back turn and kind of baiting them in and hitting them with that can actually work pretty well. If you see my opening distance, right? If I'm out here, I'm still in range of attacks, right? But if I back off a little bit, this is a nice safe range out here. If I can turn away back turned, look how much that covers. That could actually bail you out. If you could lure them in with this thing and then throw out that covers really good range. So keep that in mind to just occasionally throw out some back turn, pretend you're vulnerable, and then tag them with 2. That is a legitimate option. The last self-defense thing worth mentioning would be forward 1+2. This is a quick get off me. 14 frames is decent enough. If you're, you can't get away from them, they keep coming at you, throwing out one of these is pretty decent. This will catch a lot of things. Like if they're just doing like this kind of stuff and annoying you, give them one of those, because that counter hit is definitely worth your follow-up, your pressure, and stuff like that. So you don't need a combo every time from a counter hit. Counter hits are just about maximizing moves that get you something on counter hit in the appropriate situation when you're trying to stuff your opponent's attack. They're coming at you, and running away is not an option. You throw something out that gets you a better reward if you land it correctly. So forward 4 is the best. Couple little self-defense tricks at the very last minute, but forward 4 is really it. That's the one that you want more than anything. The slide is kind of a gimmick. The back turn is kind of a gimmick, but they're there. So let's say you still want to get out of there completely. Do you have moves that can get you out of trouble rather than having to rely on straight backdashing and sidestep? There are a couple moves that are actually built in evasive that can do this. Back 3 and back 4 aren't too much more than a gimmick. All they do is this little hop. But they can go into do glide and kind of sneak right back in. So these are definitely worth mentioning, to just kind of hop to the side a little bit. You can kind of hop in circles. At any point, you can hold forward and go back in. And there's your frame trap, boom. So it is worth mentioning that, right? Look how quick that can all of a sudden turn. You're doing this crap and you think you're just playing around, and then boom, +6. So those are there. Those are actually kind of cool for that, but it's mostly just showing off rather than being practical. As far as evasive attacks go, up forward 2 is designed to do just that. This covers an almost 90-degree spin. Look at the grid on the ground where I start this move, and look at where Asuka lands relative to me. See, she's actually 120 some degrees. I hit her the 90-degree mark, and she flies even further inward. So this goes way out there to try to smack him in the rear. This avoids a ton of stuff to hit them and knock them down. It's only -10. Let's say if you're looking for other kind of evasion, like in general, you got Matterhorn. One of the riskiest moves there is, but this move is just evasive as hell. You can see it clearly goes under. She gets real low to the ground, goes under jabs. This will go under plenty of mids. And at the end, once she's up on one hand, this is actually airborne. This would actually beat lows toward the end of its animation. So it can start off beating some highs and mids, can end up beating some lows, and you get just a massive combo off of it if it lands. But just be warned, this is like the most launch punishable thing there is. That 88 damage sounds great, but man, this is like -27 on block. If you were wrong and it didn't evade at all, good night, nurse. Down 3+4, just like Asuka here, her back 3 is another good one. Super duper evasive, but if it doesn't work, you get punished super duper hard. Another cool evasion move worth mentioning is up 3+4. This does the opposite. She jumps up in the air to go over your shit and then lands back down. This is pretty cool all around, I think. Its only weakness is getting backdashed. If it misses, you're really vulnerable. If it catches at the tip and knocks him down, actually, it's kind of hard to find that little there we go. Knocks him down on the ground, perfectly fine. If it gets blocked, you're still safe. You're only -6 from this. But if you land just right, you can still get a combo. You can do all kinds of stuff to them that way. So this is a safe launcher. It's just got a weird little gimmick to it. You need to jump over and need to land exactly on their head. So if that backfires, which anything can, right? You just got to be aware of that. So this is super evasive. This jumps over everything, right? She's way up in the air. And if she happens to land correctly, you get a whole combo. And if it lands on their face and they block, you're still safe. So that's actually kind of cool too. Moves that if you're relying on a move to evade their attack and hit them in return, you're asking a lot, right? You're asking the game to play itself. So the fact that these moves are actually that good at what they do is well above average. These are pretty good moves for that regard. This can actually take a lot of that guesswork out of some stuff as long as it's applied correctly. Next up, let's look at a couple things that'll just beat some high jabs. Basic, low profile stuff. Your quarter circles, guess what? They're here too. Quarter circle 1-2 is really good at this. Quarter circle 3-4, not as much. Quarter circle 2-1, they're okay. Because they start with this roll dash, they will beat some jabs right away. And the 1-2 extends that a little bit better. So if you're thinking, okay, I can just kind of beat out a jab with these, that'll work real well. And at a little bit of a distance here, this quarter circle 1-2 is actually good for sticking right under some jabs. 3+4 is also decent at it, but not great. It actually doesn't. Once she does the move, it stops crushing jabs. So if you delay out the crouch dash, you can get it that way. Down back 3, this move beats jabs right away. She immediately ducks under highs and kicks you, get a counter hit launcher from it. And so does down back 3+4. This beats jabs, but These moves are just bad, honestly. I think they're just bad. If you want to beat a jab with a low, I think this is just better now. Stick to that one. These are honorable mentions. They're just on the list, but not great. Your quarter circle 3 slide, I think, is the best one, and your crouch dash stuff. So basically, anytime you're in crouch dash, because you're in crouch dash, it'll beat a jab. So keep these in mind if you need an opponent that's throwing out jabs and magic fours and everything. Your crouch dash arsenal is pretty good for beating that. If you need to beat lows, you have up, forward, 4-3. Obviously, you have your hop kick to beat any lows, but that's a risk sometimes. You want to just throw that out because you think it might be a low. You got other things for that. Up, forward, 4-3 is a good option. If you're correct and it does hit, you get a wall bounce off of it and you get a whole combo that way. And it's hit confirmable, so you can just stop. If this gets blocked, you can just stop right there and not have to do anything. A smart opponent that does block this is going to sidestep the follow-up, so you don't want to just let this rip. That gets pretty easily sidestepped. So you could stop right here. And a new feature of this move is stop right here and going back turned. So you can actually kind of go a little bit of an offense here if you want. Cancel this into back turn, go for a poke, whatever it might be. Use this for some mix-up tools. So in order to, instead of just a basic wall bounce move, this actually has some utility. You can use this to beat lows, be a safe option to get into back turned, or bail out if you want to. Just go into back turn and then cancel out whatever. Fake them out. Keep it fresh and flexible. It's all you got to do. So up, forward, 4-3 is kind of cool for beating lows. Also, a new change has made up, forward, 3+4 a little bit better. This little number used to do that, but now it's natural combo. So natural combo for 33 damage is kind of cool. Beats lows cleanly. This is safe on block, but this is a high. So if they block this thing, they want to duck this high, right? Because you know now this is a good move. You're going to start doing this because it's cool. It's natural combo and it's damage. So on block, they want to start ducking that. Fortunately, this also has a mid, but that mid is Matterhorn. So your only way to back this up and keep them from ducking this little tiny poke is to go for a Matterhorn. It can work, right? If you're using this a lot, especially if they feel like, hey, every time I go for a down 4, he hits me with that. Like, okay, well, I'm just going to start ducking it. I'm just going to do nothing, and I'm going to block, and I'm going to duck this and punish him for it. Well, then, yeah, that's when you can do a Matterhorn, right? I know that you know that I know. So those are pretty cool moves for beating lows. On top of other stuff we've already mentioned, like the round-off flip, jumps over lows. Character actually has a lot of stuff. This will beat lows and highs sometimes. There's a lot of things in there, but those are definitely worth mentioning because they don't do anything else. Up, forward, 4-3 and up, forward, 3+4. They don't do anything else except beat lows. Nice little tool just to jump over lows and get some free hits in. Your other evasive kind of tools would be stuff that comes out of sidestep. You can do a sidestep 1+2. Avoid a bit of a jab and counterattack with that. Same with sidestep 3. Avoid an attack, knock him down, get free follow-ups that way. Nice chunk of damage off of that. Sidestep 3 is very underrated. If nothing else, because if you do get a clean sidestep, you can always just hop kick, but, you know, not always as simple. Sometimes they recover, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. You could do sidestep 3 to try to avoid their attack. You know, you're doing the dance, you're out here. You avoid them, go for 3. It's got good range and it's safe on block, so you can kind of just do this all day, not have to worry about it. Sidestep 3 is really good for evading an attack, counterattacking with your own with no risk involved. Not to mention the ability to go for Oki stuff from here too, right? The world is yours once you knocked him down. So kind of a cool set of evasive moves. Go under, go above, go to beside, all sorts of things Lili can do with her acrobatic nature. That's what I talk about being flexible the whole time. If you can do these different ways to get around your opponent's attacks, they're never going to know how to focus their attack to beat you if you keep finding a different way to avoid it or counterattack it, right? So let's say none of those are for you. Let's say you want to just go right through and hit them. Tekken 7 introduced Power Crush for just that reason. Let's start at the top. The fact that Lili had forward too. She was one of the few characters that has a Power Crush launcher. This is an armored move that when it hits, gives Lili a full combo. Most characters don't have this. Miguel, Negan, Zafina. It's probably about it. They have armored moves that launch in return. Consequently, these are launch punishable. This is -17 if they do happen to block it. If you just armored a jab and they recovered in time, you're getting launched for this. So it's an all or nothing gamble. If you think you got the read, you get a whole combo out of it, and if you're wrong, they get a whole combo. So to compromise, later on they added down 1+2. They brought back an old Lili move and made this a Power Crush. This is only -13. Does some damage, little 25 damage and a knockdown, but you're only risking 13 if you're wrong. So you have the both. You don't have to bet the whole farm on the Power Crush. However, in my opinion, if that's the read, right? If you think I'm okay, I'm in pressure here, and I know he's going to go for, I'm at the wall, like I'm trapped at the wall. He's going to use homing crap. I have no other way out. Power crush is my way out. If that's what I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going for the launcher, right? If I make a good read, I want the maximum reward from that read. But if you think the opposite way, if you think, okay, I think this is the read, but if I'm wrong, I want to minimize risk, that's what you got this one for. You could do both. Personally, I think I'm going to go for it all, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. However, if I'm right, if I do go for this and I do down 1+2 and it does work, I'm kicking myself for not going for it all, you know? This is kind of the way I think about it sometimes. So if you want to go right through them, power crushes, Lili's got two really good ones. She's got a launcher and she's got one that you don't have to risk everything. And so your final way to just blow right through your opponent would be your rage art. If they're going to press a button against you and you got your rage, 3+4, your rage art, actually a really good one, to be honest. It seems like it's a generic mid, nothing special about it, but there's two things. Because it comes out of Narcissus, this move hits from downtown. Like at least 3.5 this move connects from. Superior range, how about out here? Can I go here? Oh man, huge range anyway. Fantastic range, not to mention this avoids lows. The opening animation of this move, because it's Narcissus, jumps over lows. So if you're at a tiny little bit of health left and you're worried about getting tapped by a down 4, your rage art would beat that down 4 cleanly, keeping you alive. Not everybody has that. That's actually kind of a cool little perk, right? A duck jab would lose to this. It would go over it. So she could beat out a finishing blow in the form of a down 4 and still hit you with the rage art. So has two interesting properties. Cleanly beats lows instead of having to armor through them, and has fantastic range. Other than that, this crushes any other mid attack or whatever. Boom, combo, finish them that way. So that's the ultimate way to just blow right through their attack on defense. I don't need to play defense. I'm going to use my super move and hit you that way. It'll go right through, do my damage. But the other function of rage is a little bit different. Your rage art, or your rage drive, is a slightly different function. In Lili's case, this is a combo starter and a combo extender. The only thing it's really missing is combo functionality at the wall. A lot of rage drives, sometimes they spike the opponent hard into the ground and you get to stomp on them for free, so you can do that at the wall too. This doesn't have that. Lili's only extends a combo out in the open. Like it does that, and it kicks them into a second screw attack. So that can get you to the wall, but once you've done like a super, super long combo, this at the end of 9 hits, you're not going to be able to hit him anymore. She's going to punt them 40 feet away and you get nothing. So it is good to get you to the wall last minute, but I think Lili's got plenty of stuff that could probably do that. So as a combo extender, not great. As a wall, it has no purpose. So it's mostly as a combo beginner. Because this starts with the animation of down forward 3+4, this uses the round off. This beats lows completely, goes right over them. Plus on block a ton, like most rage drives are. This is +9. Jail, so they can't duck that. And on normal hit, she gets a combo. So what's cool about this is not every rage drive that causes a screw attack gets you 2. If you look at like Fakim Ram or Ling or Shaheen, I think maybe is like that, their rage drive causes a screw attack just like this, but that uses it up. You do not get a second one. So look what happens. I still get another screw attack, even though my rage drive used one. It doesn't count as your screw attack. So you actually get to do this, and you can do a full combo on top of that, your whole screw attack and everything. So basically just adding 20 plus damage onto your normal combo structure, coming out of a low crushing, awesome range, safe mid. So that's kind of like your final option to use up your last resources. This isn't quite the same as power crushing through them, but defensively, this is a nice tool to jump over lows, spend your final life's resources to try to make the comeback. Your rage drive is actually a really good one. A combo starter that beats lows. And if nothing else, you get the frame trap, right? You get, the pressure and the options that come from there. So as a final resort, if you don't want to use your whole super that way, you want to go a little bit more finesse, a little bit more flexible, your rage drive is the answer to that. So I think that's everything defensively as far as the toolkit goes. Playing defense is the hard part of this game. Knowing what your opponent might do, what they can possibly do, and how to prepare for it, and then how to react when something different happens. That can take years of experience to figure out. So what we covered here was just what your options are based on what you think they might do, right? You have counter hit moves, things you throw out if you think they're going to attack, like a keep out set of moves. that you might get some cool rewards if you were right. We had moves that were evasive that can get you out of the way and stay safe, or hit them all at once. You know, jump over them, land on their head, fly out to the side, pop them back in the rear, whatever it might be. Evasive moves that can kind of flip the tables in an instant. Power crushes do the same thing. All of a sudden, you're getting pressured, and now the tables have turned. You're back on offense, or you get a whole launch out of the situation, which is what your Rage Art does. Your Rage Art can steal that last turn in a heartbeat and win the round for you. Lili's Rage Drive is a little bit of everything. It can be evasive. It can stuff people's approach. It can steal around at the very end. It's kind of like an encapsulation of everything she does. A lot of flexibility, lots of different ways to use the same move in different situations, which is what I think this character is about. So she's not full of mix-ups, even though you might think she's constantly hitting you low and sweeping and jumping and flipping. It's not mix-ups. It's more mobility. It's more flexibility. It's staying out of patterns. It's staying away from being predictable so your opponent knows you're going to do. If every time you do round off and you do down 4, they're going to catch that the second time, and they're going to, they're going to low parry it this time. So you got to stay fresh with what you do. You stay flexible. Don't ever do that again. Wait 2 more rounds before you do that. Start doing forward 3 instead. Do glide cancel. Mix it up. Do something different. Lili's flexibility is excellent. So what that does is gives you a character that's pretty technical overall. You got to learn how to do all of these things, and you got to learn how to apply them in the right situations. And then the damage is good. The results are really good. Lili just comes up short when it's in the up-close pit bull department. She loses punch counter hit battles up close. So just don't engage in those. Use your amazing sidestep to get away from those, back up, evade something or whatever, and then play the game from a little bit safer distance. Decide to go in at the right opportunity. Otherwise, just stay out there, floating around. You float like the butterfly, and then you'll be cool. Everything is fine. When you're a butterfly, nothing's going to catch you. And then when you see that opportunity is right, they come flying at you. They're, all right, I'm going to go get them. You tag them with that forward 4 counter hit or whatever. You sting them like the bee. That's really what it's about. It's the best way to describe the character is to stay mobile, stay flexible, and hit them back when you catch those mistakes. Because she can be frustrating. Because she's hard to predict. Because her movements are erratic. Because she has lots of really different looking things, it gets frustrating. So if you could keep it together and stay clean and technical, your opponent gets frustrated, they will make the mistake first, and you feast on those. Damage gets really good when you start getting some counter hits and you get them to the wall and your Oki game kicks in. There's lots of dirty stuff Lili can do. She just needs to kind of get an opening first. She needs to get that one jab before she follows up with everything else.